Hi everyone, I'm Suchita and I have officially graduated from college. I'm done with school, and as the video title says, I finished my college degree in 3 years, including my bachelor's and my master's degree. So I essentially graduated from high school in the May of 2022. I finished my bachelor's degree in the May of 2024, so that's 2 years for my bachelor's degree, and then I finished my master's degree this spring, this May of 2025. So I finished my master's in 1 year. And in all honesty, I could have finished in 2.5 years because I only had one class this semester and I could have easily taken it last semester, but yeah. So in this video, I'm just going to be talking about how I graduated early, how you can also graduate early, and whether graduating early is something that you even want to do. So starting off with things that will actually help you graduate early. So as with most things in life, the earlier you start, the easier it is for you. And especially in this case, because I think starting earlier, like in high school, for example, it just saves you more time, money, and I would also say mental burden, as opposed to doing it later, but of course you can start at any time. So starting off with things that you can do in high school to graduate early. So number one, the most obvious, everyone knows about this but still does not use this effectively and when it comes to graduation, is AP exams. And I think IB exams also, they work similarly, I'm not quite sure. But yes, AP exams, literally the easiest way, the best way, the most cost-effective way to graduate early, because you're literally doing a class in high school. You might as well take one extra exam and just get college credit for it while you're at it anyways. So yeah, definitely recommend AP exams. I personally had 57 credits worth of AP exams coming into college, and I think I did 10, 11 AP exams maybe. So I guess the way to optimize your AP exams and trying to figure out what you should take is by going on the school's website. So like whatever school that you want to go to, right? You go to their website. Let me show you. This is the website for GMU, right? So they have this website and they have all the AP exams listed, the score that you would get, and the equivalent course that you would get a credit for, right? And then with this information, now you know what types of AP exams are being considered, right? And the scores that you would have to get to actually get the credit for it, right? And then you go over to whatever major you want to do, right? And I'm going to pick computer science, and you're going to scroll down to the requirements and see what type of classes that you would have to take in order to get your bachelor's degree. And for example, let's say we scroll down to math and we see that, oh, we need calculus, we need math 113 and math 114. What you would do is you would go back to the AP exam, scroll down to the math section, and oh, look what's here. AP Calculus BC, if you get a 4 or 5 on the exam, then you get credit for those two math classes. And that means you wouldn't have to take those two math classes later in college. And this is sort of how you would plan out what AP classes to take, what AP exams to take, and then like sort of optimize what you want to do. And I guess in case you don't know what you want to major in, you could try looking at all the whatever 2 or 3 majors that you're considering, and then see which is the most common / overlapping, to see if you can sort of optimize that and have the most AP exams that overlap across the different majors that you're considering. And if you don't know which school that you're going to, same concept, just go to each school's website, figure out which AP exams they give credit for and which ones would help you the most. And honestly, if you don't want to use your brain on this, I would just recommend doing 1 math, 1 science, 1 English, 1 history, and 1 elective AP, just 5 APs, because no matter what major you do have gen ed, right? And you can just at least get rid of a few gen eds if you just stick to the core 5 subjects. And for elective, I would recommend language, because I do know some schools have a language requirement. And in case you don't have space in your schedule to do an AP exam, right, or to take an AP class, you can take the exam without taking the class. That's personally what I did for AP French. I was in French 3 and I got the Platinum Award in the National French exam. So I went up to my teacher and I was like, look, I think I'm pretty good at French. I'm doing well in classes, and I feel pretty comfortable. Can I take the AP French exam without actually being in the class? And she was like, yes, go for it. And that's actually the AP exam that gave me 12 college credits and basically took care of all my elective spots. So that's one option you can do, and you can also take AP exams not offered by your school. If your school isn't offering a lot of AP exams, you can go up on like the College Board website, and I think they have like alternative testing centers or other schools that you can take the exam at. There should be like some sort of workaround, so make sure not to put a barrier on yourself when it comes to AP exams. And if you're worried about cost, most schools typically cover at least some number of AP exams, and even if they don't, remember $100 spent on the AP exam is still significantly less than what like 1,500 for the same class in college. So highly recommend the AP exam route. So your next best option, besides AP exams, is taking dual enrollment classes. I say this is the next best because this is a little bit more pricey, and I think that AP exams pretty much achieve the same, like for intro level classes, they achieve the same purpose as dual enrollment, right? So for classes like English, history, calculus, I would definitely recommend taking AP exams over dual enrollment. And also because usually not all schools outside of your state will like take the dual enrollment, but like schools universally tend to take AP exam credit. But yes, dual enrollment can be very helpful because for classes that are not offered by AP, right? For example, multivariable calculus and linear algebra, which are the ones that I did and then failed. But yeah, so usually those are the ones that you would want to do through dual enrollment because you're taking the class at your high school, but you're just paying to get that extra college credit. Whatever grade that you get in your high school class is the grade that you would get in the college class, and I think that's pretty good. And then your third option, besides dual enrollment, is actually taking classes at your community or like local college as a non-degree student, or maybe as a degree student too, if you're trying to get your associate's degree. So this is the third best option because now you have to take classes in addition to your high school classes, right? So this would be taking like the next level. Like if you took Bio 1, this would be taking the second level biology course, right? At your local community college, you do need permission from your school administrators slash principals slash counselors. Like somebody has to give you permission to do this, but if you're academically driven, they typically do tend to allow for it. And it's also a very good way of graduating quickly. And I definitely recommend doing classes at like community college because usually the workload tends to be more manageable, and it's like obviously you have to do a little bit more work, but it tends to be manageable. And then the third and final option for graduating quickly in high school is to look for special programs or opportunities. This is like not the standard route, but I know that like some schools have like a built-in associate's degree program with the high school path. So it's like when you graduate from high school, they also give you your associate's degree with your high school diploma, right? Some random school in Richmond does this, and I found out about that recently, right? You could also go to private schools where they literally like test you out of grades if you're academically driven. There's also CLEP exams, and like I'm sure there's like other sorts of exams, programs. Just be on the lookout for things to see, yeah. So now you're done with high school. So there's typically a chunk of time between when high school ends and when college starts, and you can use that time effectively. So if you're doing an internship, that's great, but you can also do summer classes and catch up on some credits. So going back to those dual enrollment classes that I failed in high school, I ended up redoing them in the summer and at my local community college. And while I was at it, I also ended up taking a few more classes. So in total, I had 14 transfer credits from my community college. And this ended up being really cost effective because I was able to pay a lot less for the same number of classes, and I wasn't doing anything in the summer anyway. So I definitely recommend doing classes in the summer before college. Now you're in college. So in college, there's also things that you can do to speed up your graduation. The most obvious one is obviously summer classes. Do classes outside of the semester, do classes during spring break, winter break. There's not typically too many of those, but there's a lot of study abroad programs that you can do. I personally studied abroad in the UK during winter break. It was a 2-week program, and I got credit for one class. So that was pretty good. So consider your options that way as well. You can also take more classes than like the recommended or whatever like the default is. At our school, the max number of credits you can enroll for is 18, which is around 6 classes. Um, I just ended up overloading and taking 21 credits, which was 7 classes. So you can definitely just ask them and be like, hey, like I really want to graduate. And usually, if you have a good enough GPA, they do allow you to overload and take more than the regular course load. And then in addition to that, you can also get credit for doing research or internships. I don't know how it is in other schools, but at our school, if you can count up to 6 credits worth of just research. So if you're already doing research on campus, you might as well have your professor fill out the extra forms and also have that count as classes and credits, which would save you time since you're doing the research anyways. Same concept goes for, same logic, sorry, goes for internships. At GMU, if you do an internship abroad, they allow you to get up to 6 credits for that as well. So you can really use both of your internships and research experiences as class credit, and this would allow you to graduate faster. And then obviously you could also enroll in an accelerated master's program if you're still interested in doing master's at whatever your current school is. Because then a lot of classes overlap from your bachelor's and master's, and this saves you a lot of time and money. And then the other option is you can actually ask your school to allow you to skip classes. I've had a few friends try this out where they were just like really smart and they knew what they were doing and they just really didn't want to take a lot of the intro level classes. So they emailed the counselors, the advisors, and asked to test out of it or get a waiver or like a special case which allowed them to skip classes. This one is obviously not guaranteed because it's a less defined path. So this one requires having a good relationship with your faculty, your advisors, and then they'll really make that case for you. And there's no guarantee of this getting approved, but if it does, and technically it's like they just let you skip out of classes and move forward. So those are your options for graduating or like going through college quickly while you're in college as well. And now that we've discussed how to graduate early and the paths that you can take, it still leaves the question, like, should you even be graduating early? Like, what are some reasons that you should or would consider getting through school quickly? And obviously what I say comes from my personal experiences and what I've seen of those around me. But in my opinion, there's only really 2 valid reasons why you should be like really determined to graduate early. The first and like literally the biggest reason is financial reasons. And that was true in my case as well. I'm an international student, so I was on an H4 dependent visa and I had to switch over to an F1 student visa. Basically, the first visa category meant that I was eligible for in-state tuition, and the second one meant that I had to pay out-of-state tuition. And out-of-state tuition is literally 3 times as much as in-state tuition. So I was very strongly motivated to finish as much of my degree in the in-state tuition category. So I literally had to rush through my bachelor's degree and like try to cram everything in before I had to switch over to the second visa type. So it was financial reasons for me so that I could save money on these out-of-state tuition fees. And even if you don't have like weird international student struggles, right? If you graduate early, that's 1 year less of dorming/meal plans that you would have to pay for. It's 1 year sooner that you can start earning money and really get out there. So like definitely money is like a huge reason here, but I will say do be careful about graduating early because I do know like for example a lot of my international friends they have scholarships which are valid only during the fall and spring semester. So if they were to take summer classes, the scholarship wouldn't cover it, and like graduating early for them would actually just be more expensive because then they can't claim the scholarship money. And like I think a similar logic applied to loans as well. Like it was just confusing, and it made things more expensive. So if you're in that case, do reconsider graduating early, because scholarships do only cover certain time ranges. And then the second reason that I've noticed people want to graduate early, and I think is valid, is if you really don't like school, or like you really hate it, or if you find it too easy, or you don't think classes provide value, and you know you're smart, like you can do things, you're a self-learner, right? But you believe that the degree opens doors. So basically, like, you just don't like school, but it will get you to wherever you're going, and you know you're capable of learning things, then yes, graduating early is a really good option for you. A lot of my friends in this category are more so like people who are interested in going into quant or working for government jobs, where like they're very smart individuals, and like genuinely they're great without college as well. It's just that the government will literally mandate, like, no, we will not hire you unless you have a bachelor's degree. In that case, yes, you might as well graduate early. Like, you clearly don't like school, you clearly don't want to be here, but you have to be here, so you might as well get things done sooner rather than later. And I think those are like the two biggest reasons that anyone should graduate early. And here are some not so valid reasons for graduating early. Number one, because you think it'll make you seem smart. No, I will tell you firsthand. Like, I seem smart to like my friends, maybe my neighbors, but like they're not the ones employing you. Like genuinely, jobs don't care. They just want you to be able to do whatever they said that you needed to be able to do in the job description. Like, that's pretty much it. So definitely don't do it for the cool factor, especially if it's like taking a strain on your mental health. Like, it's not worth it. That's not a valid reason. And then number two is that somebody else told them to, and this is one I see more often. I think it's like, oh, like my parents told me to graduate early, or like some random person on the street told me to like graduate early, and like it like changed their life or whatever. If you have like a good financial, like if you're financially stable, like your family's financially stable, and they can put you through all 4 years, and if you actually enjoy being at school, why would you rush it because some random person told you to? Because you do miss out on things, right? It's not like, oh, like, wow, like graduating early is just an added bonus. No, you do have to give some things up, right? Unless you're built different and can do everything, right? Because I had less summers to do internships and opportunities. I literally went from being a freshman to a senior to a master's student. Like, there was no in between, and it was really difficult for me to like gain industry experience, especially since I didn't have any CS background in high school. I did bio for all of high school because I thought I wanted to be a doctor, but then plans change. So it's like it just makes things a little bit harder. And if you're really unsure about your major too, like graduating early is definitely not the option, because you have to lock in on your major like very, very quickly. If you don't know what you're doing, like locking in early and then regretting what you're doing, like it makes no sense. Because if you're doing it slowly, you can explore new paths, you can take quirky classes, you could discover new interests, new hobbies. And then depending on how well you are able to manage your time, it could cut into social time, clubs time, activity time. But I mean, it all varies from person to person. And then also like the 4 year glorified college experience, very expensive experience, but I would say it does offer some value if you can. Because I do know, like, from my experiences at least, like most people tend to start realizing their values, their goals, what they really want to do in college towards their third and fourth year. And it's primarily because they made like really terrible decisions, or like really spontaneous, questionable decisions their first 2 years that like make them realize like, oh, this is not who I am, this is not what I want to be. So it's like it's sort of like an expensive sandbox where you're still trying to figure yourself out, and like towards the end you figure yourself out. But if you sort of like rush through that process, sometimes it can feel a little bit empty, maybe, I don't know. So it really varies like from person to person, so you do have to think about if this is something that you do have, if you are actually interested in. So definitely don't do it for any like superficial or like random reasons. But you will be fine either way, whether you graduate early, whether you don't. Like, you will be fine at the end of the day. This was just something that I wanted to share, in case people were interested in knowing how I did it, and in knowing how they can do it too. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.